So this recording will be a 3-part recording. And as part of this recording, I intend to explore LangGraph Cloud and LangGraph Studio. Now, LangGraph Cloud is the new kid in the block, I'll say, from LangChain, which automates the deployment of multi-agent systems created using LangGraph. And I was really impressed by the thought process. Like it is LangGraph Cloud. I saw that it is integrated with Langsmith right now. It is in beta, and for Plus members and up, the access is given during the open beta phase, right? Plus membership is $39 per user per month. That is the one that I took to learn about this particular feature. So in Langsmith, if you see the deployment menu is where the LangGraph Cloud is there right now. And it says during the open beta, only one deployment is allowed per organization. So when I was playing with it, it reminded me of DBT, data build tool, right? So during the days when I was spending a lot of time on data engineering and moving legacy data warehouses to Snowflake and other cloud data warehouses, DBT is something that we were using that time. So the concept of DBT, how it packages the data engineering orchestration and deploys, the LangGraph Cloud deployment looked similar to it, right? In fact, before even DBT came in, I remember building a orchestration platform completely from the scratch using Python and Jinja. So the approach looks similar. And that's why I keep on saying that, okay, what we are seeing today, there are a lot of new things, but there are a lot of old concepts, old practices, old established practices that we can bring in to, along with the new generative AI approaches, to make solutions more robust, more scalable. But that discussion probably I can do for hours, maybe take up in another session if there is an opportunity. Today, let's focus on LangGraph Cloud, right? So the demonstrations that I'm going to do, and this is something I'm also learning through this demonstration. The first demonstration we'll see is how we after developing a LangGraph flow, how we can deploy the flow using LangGraph Cloud. That is the first demonstration. Second one we'll see is after I deployed the LangGraph flow, how I can launch LangGraph Studio from Langsmith, test the LangGraph app. We'll see how the LangGraph Studio integrates with the debugging and the tracing capability of Langsmith, which again looked to me like a very convenient and a beautiful feature. And once the testing is done, how I can programmatically access this app, right? Because that is the final purpose, right? When I put a agentic workflow in production, my goal is to see how I can integrate that flow with my existing process or a new process, or integrate with a conversational AI, right? So that is the third demo where I wanted to show how using LangGraph Cloud SDK, we can programmatically access the deployed LangGraph app, right? So it would be a relatively longer journey, but each of the recording, I'll split it into separate recordings so that it is easy to follow. So let's start with the first one, develop the LangGraph flow, right? So let me go to LangGraph first, right? So when so if you are a Plus member or a WAP, right? Once you log on to Langsmith, smith.langchain.com, under lab deployment, you should see the LangGraph Cloud option, right? Here you can create a new deployment. Now, initially, when I created a new deployment, I got the um, feature to import from GitHub, which I already did, right? When I clicked on the import from GitHub, there I specified what is my GitHub user ID and which repo I want LangGraph Cloud to get access to, right? So the LangGraph Studio _studio is the GitHub repo where I will have my LangGraph flows, right? This I gave two repos access to LangGraph Cloud, but my flows will be here in the LangGraph _studio repo, right? So this is what I already set up in LangGraph Cloud. Basically, I told LangGraph Cloud that when I create a new deployment, my deployment will be in this repo. Look at this repo to do the deployment, right? Now, let's go back and let me actually see where I put the LangGraph Studio. Okay, so maybe this one. Yeah. So, yeah. So let me show the LangGraph Studio. Right, this is my repo. Right. So here in the repo, if you see, I have created a reflection agent. Right. Let's go through the reflection agent, and I'll tell you what are actually important for LangGraph Cloud to do the automatic deployment also. So the reflection agent is like very straightforward. So I have the workflow logic here, right, where I have two agents. One agent generates the answer. The other agent takes the input of the generated answer by the first agent, the critic one, right? It takes that answer, reviews the answer, and suggests improvements to the generate answer agent, right? To rephrase the answer to make it better, right? This is what the critic answer does, right? And there is a conditional age where we see if the number of back and forth between the critic agent and the generate answer agent has gone beyond 4, because each message will have two, each interaction will have two messages. So that's why if it is uh, more than 8 interactions, I just end the flow, right? That is this workflow, right? So for LangGraph, we need to ensure that we end the code with graph equal, like whatever I need to return the graph, right? That graph should be your return graph should be executable in the code, right? So this is one agent that LangGraph workflow that I have created. In the requirements.txt, I have put all my dependencies, right? The important thing, like which LangGraph Cloud looks at, is the langgraph.json. This is where I say where my dependencies are stored, right? So my dependencies are stored under reflection agent in the requirements.txt, right? So dependencies, it will look for requirements.txt here. Then I say which is my main, like my graph, the one that is executable, the agent that I'll run, it's under reflection agent, reflect agent. That is where my graph workflow, the LangGraph workflow logic exists. And finally, where is my env file? Because this is where I will provide all the secrets, right? Like the open API key or the other, right? There is a way you can do it from LangGraph Cloud also. What I think is when it is deploying, It is probably deploying on a Kubernetes cluster when it is creating uh, the Docker image, Dockerizing this and pushing it. The secrets are going probably in the secrets um, component of Kubernetes. That's what I think underneath it might have done, right? But this is how I have created the LangGraph flow, right? Important thing to notice, this is where all my logic is there, the workflow logic. This is where I mentioned the dependencies. The .env file is not here because it is not a good practice to push your .env file to GitHub, but the .env is at the root level, at the reflection agent root level. Let me show you in my code. The .env is actually should be here, right? My reflect agent requirements txt, and the langgraph.json should also be at the so if I at the root level of the code, right? The langgraph.json, right? This is how the structure of your LangGraph workflow should be. I'm again expanding it so that you can see. So I have a LangGraph Studio folder. Within that, I have the reflection agent. The requirements.txt should be at the reflection agent, below the reflection agent. The langgraph.json should be at the root. .env should be at the root. And we already explained what the langgraph.json will contain. Let's go back and then create a deployment. Okay. So let me start from the beginning. So new deployment, I'll say this is take this repo for deployment. I'll give some name. So I already had 03, also 04, right? LangGraph Studio, LangGraph JSON, shareable through LangGraph Studio so that I can share so production deployments auto scale to serve up to 500 requests per second. Shareable deployments can be shared with Langsmith users outside of your organization. So basically, when I create this, it gives me a URL for the app, which I can share. And that is what we'll see how to programmatically access that, right? The environment variables that I earlier mentioned, right? You can add it through here, the secrets through here, right? And then finally, once I am done, right, I will do a submit, right? This submit is now going to start my build, right? So if you have multiple builds and all these other things will be shown under revisions. So this is our first build. Now this build is going to take some time, right? So I'll stop the recording here. Once the deployment is done, we will come back and see how now basically we will look at the second recording, right? How to launch the deployed app using LangGraph Studio and test the LangGraph app, right? But this is the deployment has started. It started pulling some of the Docker containers and all, and it took me almost 7-8 minutes to complete it, right? So I'll end this recording for now. As soon as this is done, we'll come back and see how we can use LangGraph Studio to test out this deployment. Thank you.